Hi everyone, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on whereabouts you are in the world and your differing time zones. We're here in the UK at the moment, or certainly I am, and I know Joanne is. We're here in the UK, it's quite a sunny day, we've had lots of snow here and it's quite a sunny day, and we're all here showing up to have a discussion with this fabulous guest speaker that we have here today. You know, for all of the for people of you that maybe don't know, we have the wonderful Dr. Jamilah Merrick, and we're here today at SheFab to have a really insightful discussion with her. I'm so thankful, Dr. Jamilah, that you've been able to join us today, because I know it's super early there for you today, and you look incredible as you always do. I will tell you, everybody, I have just asked for her secret. Because at 5 a.m. I certainly wouldn't be looking as fabulous as she does. And she's always, you know what I love about you, Dr. Jamilah? You've always got a smile. You know, you're just an amazing human being. And so for that reason, it's a great honor and privilege to have you here with us today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sumia, and you can take it from there, Sumia.
Thank you, Ms. Shelle. And I should also thank Dr. Jamilah Merrick to be present over here, because as Ms. Shelle fantastic mentioned, that it's very early for her there. And thank you a lot. And yes, she's such a beautiful lady, and she's got such magnetic aura, amazing person. So yes, thank you a lot. And I would like to say a few words about her accomplishments, because Miss Dr. Jamilah Merrick, she is so popular, and she's voted top 115 inspirational women in Web3 and Metaverse, which is not a small task. And that's such a great accomplishment. She is CEO and founder of Ethose, Zoe Advisor, co-founder of Empowered Women Collective. She also runs Y Combinator, and she's such an accomplished lady. She's the first, and there's also a first Web3 marketplace and launchpad of hers. She's an advisor, investor. She's got more than 3,000 investor pool and 41,000 full stack developers with her. And she's managing all that, being a lady. And since this month is dedicated to Women's Day, we have such wonderful lady over here, and it's an honor to be hosting her today. And her topic today is becoming investor ready in Web3. So yes, yes, Dr. Jamilah Merrick, the stage is yours.
Wow, thank you so much for that that introduction. You know, I'm just so honored to be here. SheFanPro. I count myself such a friend to the fabulous. I mean, even the name, fantastic, Shelle, fantastic. She's just, I mean, woo! I mean, it's all in the name. So we're just so thankful for this relationship. Part of those 41,000 full stack developers is the partnership I have with Shelle, with the 40,000 full stack developers that she has. So leveraging her, the network has been so powerful for what we're doing with Ethose. And as you said, I don't run YC Combinator, but I've been with YC Combinator for about 7 years in their startup school. And so they've taught me a lot about lean startup. And lean startup is really came out of the manufacturing industry, people working with cars, the manufacturing with Toyota. And they really wanted to find the leanest, the simplest, most effective way to build these cars, right, and generate ROI. And so they took all of the really powerful, you know, analysis and strategy from building cars to building businesses. And so learning lean startup has given me such an opportunity to be competitive in this landscape of entrepreneurship, because of the fact that we know most women just don't get funded, right? Most women don't get those big dollars. Like, we get less than 2% of venture capital as women, and then even less if you're a minority. So when we think about being competitive in the landscape, we really have a higher you know, I wouldn't say there's more risk, because there's risk with everything in business, but we have a higher, you know, bar that we have to come into to just get the funding. And so I really wanted to focus on that today. And I really just thank you, SheFanPro, SheFanPro, SheFab, all of what you're doing to equip and empower women to say, yes, we can, yes, we will. And here are the tools, here is the education. And, you know, here are the people who believe in you. I just think you all set such a wonderful precedent to tell women, you know, this is your time, you know, own your story, and come in here with confidence that you have what it takes to be successful. So I think ecosystems like such as yourself are so important for women to feel they have a place here. And whether you're a technical founder or you're a non-technical founder is really not the issue. It's really, can you assemble the team? Do you have the leadership skills to drive the vision, right? Do you have the ability to manage teams, and do you know how to acquire funding? And you have to be very agile as a founder, as a CEO, to go out and get money, number one, but also to build your dream, you build your enterprise. So anyway, going back to the topic, I really said, what's something that we as women really need to focus on in business? And it's really being venture ready, right? Because unless you come with a silver spoon in your mouth, or you're going to need funding. And if you're bootstrapping, we all know how painful that is. Like, you're bootstrapping and you still got to pay for rent, and if you have children, maybe they have school, and there's so much that you have to sacrifice as an entrepreneur. And we really want to reduce a little bit of that risk and a little bit of that stress by saying, hey, how can you get funding so you can have the liquidity to scale your business, right? It's just simple math. You know, you've got X amount of dollars coming in, X amount of dollars coming out, and at the end of the day, you need a net gain. You need an ROI. And if everything's just going out, right, that's not sustainable. So venture capital really, it gives you the ability to position your brand, position your products for the long term. And we really need to also know what that means for us as women, as entrepreneurs, because then, you know, not every dollar is a good dollar. Not every investor is the right investor. And you've got to have that confidence to say yes, and that confidence to say no, and also understanding the leverage you need to have going into those meetings and looking for what you should be prepared for, the questions, right? And so I won't go, we probably could talk about for hours venture capital and how to be ready for investor funds and your cap table. But I do think one thing I want to lead with is, you know, how to prepare yourself. Number one is really, I was on a space yesterday, and someone asked me this question, like, well, just what's the first step? I said, I'm glad you asked. I said, I think number one, what we should do in entrepreneurship as new founders running startups is we have to do a SWOT on ourselves. What is our strengths? What's our weaknesses? What's the opportunities that we have and that we see in our own world, internally, externally? And what are the threats that we are facing? We have to have like a real serious conversation with ourselves and saying, okay, I'm not a technical founder, but I'm a non-technical founder with exceptional skills, exceptional project management. We sit down and we look at ourselves and we say, this is what I bring to the table. We own it. You have to own it because it's your story, it's your business, and you have to bring that confidence in when you are coming to the table, when you're as an entrepreneur looking for investment. You got to have that confidence. But then the other thing is, okay, what are the weaknesses? Okay, so I don't know code. Okay, so you don't know code. Okay, so we're going to have to find a technical team to really make sure you're strong. You have a very strong posture, right? Okay, maybe it's, I don't have the infrastructure right now to build my platform. Maybe you're building a marketplace and you have the great idea, but you don't have the back end, right? You don't have any of the back end worked out. Okay, so we're understanding those weaknesses, but what's the opportunity? You look at your market and you say, wow, well, you know, this is a market that's growing 20% a year. And in my area specifically, people are looking for the services that I want. There's a high demand for what I'm doing. You say, well, there's a great opportunity to enter the market. So now we're being a little bit more practical on what we're doing and why we are building. And then you say, well, what are the threats? Well, maybe it's legislation. If you're in crypto long enough, we're in the wild, wild west of legislation. So there was one point Ethose wanted to get into a stable coin. And just from legal advisement, we were told not a good time to enter the market with a stable coin after the Terra Luna crash and all of these. It was just crazy what was going on the past year. We said, oh, okay, so we're going to wait on that. It's a great idea to have a stable coin, to look at a layer one, but we said that's not the right entry in the marketplace right now. We'll focus on these other things. So really look at the threats that are happening within your industry. Also internally, like maybe, a threat is, I don't have enough money to run this business. I may only have 6 months to run this business if I bootstrap it myself. That's an incredible threat to, right, the longevity of your business. You have to have that conversation with yourself internally, with your teams, and be really honest. So I think before you even get into venture capital, you look at who you are as a founder and all of those strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that you bring to the table, and you have that conversation. And then after you really have this assessment of where you are at, then you look at where you need to go. When I think of venture capital and I talk to people, they get really kind of, they almost feel like they get very small in the room, like it's not for them, or they're never going to do it. It almost feels like they're like looking up at a mountain, like, it's never going to happen. It sounds like a story. But really, when you think of a goal, like your goal is venture capital, you reverse engineer it, right? So you reverse engineer it. The goal is to acquire that investor, sign on the dotted line with favorable terms for your business without heavily diluting yourself, hopefully, so you still own a part of your beautiful, enterprise you're building. And you reverse engineer. So what are they going to need to sign on that dotted line? Well, if we look at, just most of the, expectations I see with working with different people, even Shelle working with her pool of investors, people that I'm working with pools of investors. Number one, they're going to want to have an executive summary, right? Let's just be honest. They want to see a 1-page of who you are, what your business is about, what's your mission, what's your vision, right? What's the problem you're solving? And it should be nice. It should be coherent. It should be literally on 1 page. And maybe you have a little graphics, make it, your logo and things like that. But you want to create a really professional posture for that investor in one bite-sized piece before they look at any of your additional materials. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can go on Canva, you can go on other pitch.com, I believe, and get a template. But you want to have an executive summary. Number two, you're going to want to have a pitch deck. And a pitch deck should really encapsulate, what your problem is. So you really need to be telling people, selling this story of, I'm solving a real problem, right? So they always teach us in the YC Startup School that don't be in search of a problem, right? You're solving a problem with your business. So we're out the gate, we're telling the investor, this is the problem that I'm solving. And then we're showing them in that deck, in our materials, oh, and this is how I'm solving it. Out the gate, you want them to know, I have a problem and I'm solving that problem. Because if they don't know, even if it's a good idea, they're only thinking dollar signs. Is the need big enough for my investment dollars? So we really want to get them really activated around this idea that, wow, there's this huge problem that I didn't know about. And there's this amazing solution X, right? That's going to solve that problem. Then you want to break down a little bit fundamentally of what are the benefits of your business, right? Because this is the time to shine and to be very specific about what you actually bring to the table to solve that problem. And so a few bullet points, you really want to make it very tight in one slide of why your product is beneficial to the consumer to solve this problem. And then if you have any technology, you really want to fundamentally show what that technology is. So if you're using blockchain, if you're a platform as a service, if you're a software as a service, any of those kind of things that require actual, dev work that has to be integrated, that's different than just a website, right? You're going to add that in there, because guess what? Most of these VCs are investing in technology, right? So you want to sell the technology that you're using, because that gives you that competitive advantage. One thing, it was really interesting, one thing I learned about early on trying to get venture capital from some of the top YC Combinator startups was, they said, we don't invest in services. We don't invest in services, right? We invest in we invest in technology. And so it was very interesting that even ourselves, at first we started as service-based. We started as an accelerator. And I remember I was working directly with one gentleman who was doing $1 billion rounds with his investment pool, $1 billion rounds a month. And I said, eventually we want to get investment. And he said, but you know what? We don't invest in services. And it kind of broke my heart. I said, well, goodness. I said, oh, and I had a wake-up call like, oh, I could even work with the top startups in the world, and they're not going to invest in me because they want to see how I automate my business. They want to see how I could scale it with millions, not just a few hundred of people I could meet a month. They were much more interested in the automation versus the value. So when we think about what we're building and how we are building, we have to think from also the perspective not only of ourselves, which we're passionate about what we're building. You have to think about, if you're going in for venture capital, what people are buying. And if they're not buying services, that you probably want to focus on maybe grants, or even if you're in blockchain, there's different protocols like Ethereum and Cardano and Solana have grants that you can get for building anything on their network. So you have to really be honest with yourself and say, okay, am I able to make those pivots in my business model to stay competitive when I'm trying to get these investment dollars? Because if I'm not, realistically, if you're not selling what the investor wants, they're not going to buy what you are presenting. So after technology, then you really want to get fundamentally into, not necessarily like mission and vision, but I'm going to actually pull this up on my end just because there was one thing that I think that was really, really important. We use an actual, a pitch deck flow to help our startups, who are looking for funding, really stay on track and be realistic with where they need to be. And one of the things that I love is sending them this deck, and then they go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think that that's what I would need to talk to the investors, right? But one of the things you really need to just show them your business model. You have to be able to show them how you make money. And I tell you, I kid you not, I maybe see, I don't know how many decks I've seen where they didn't have a business model. They couldn't show them, well, how do I acquire customers? And how, what am I spending for those customers? And then also, is this a subscription base? What is the mode of making money, right? And I think you really fundamentally have to look at your business as pieces to a pie, right? And you have to start to dissect each of those pieces into their components. And one of the really juicy parts of the experience for venture capitalists is seeing how you make money beyond the problem you're solving, beyond the technology you bring to the table, beyond the benefits of your product. How do you then monetize it? And so you have to be really, really granular with the investors and say, okay, this is exactly how I am generating revenue, you know, and it could be, like I said, the subscription based. It could be, well, you just buy one product and this is how many products you have at X amount of dollars over X amount of customers. And this is how you're going to generate revenue on end, you know, month on end, year on end. But the other thing is your milestones, right? Showing them how you're going to go from a Q1 launch to a Q2 to a Q3 to a Q4, right? Because when you start out with a company, you start out with your minimal viable product. So we're not starting out with like the best and the most grandest product. We're starting with something that's minimal enough to enter the market, test it, validate it, get customers, get users, get your early adopters, and then begin to make those adjustments in your product to scale it, right? Because we don't know fundamentally what the customer wants until we build something and we test it and we get that feedback. So a lot of people who've started with one product, right, are at, by a year on into their company, 2 years, 3 years, they're at it looks much different, right? Because they've got that user base, they've got that user experience, they've got that feedback. You know, just think about fundamentally how Facebook started and then what it looks like now, right? It still started around the same premises of community, a community app, but it didn't have all the functionalities that it has now and the integrations that it has now. But after user testing, beta testing, you know, we have Facebook, we have a product that has product market fit and that has billions of users. And so that's really what you want to look for in your roadmap, is showing them a progression of how you're going to develop your product over time and giving them a roadmap for that. And so that's very, very important. So they know, okay, so this is where we're starting. You know, these are the milestones we're going to hit, and these are the timelines, right? And not, you know, obviously not everyone hits those timelines, but you really want to show them how their money, right, is going to be strategically positioned over time, and they can have a sense of, okay, confidence in what you're doing. The other thing is projections, right? So, and this was one thing I think founders struggle with the most, because unless you're a CPA or you've been in bookkeeping or administration, you know, you're kind of like, oh, like, how do I even value that or project that? You know, and sometimes they like to look at exactly, you know, how much it is for each little section. You know, I could show you some decks where you're like, oh my gosh, like, are we supposed to really be talking about stuff like that with the investors? Well, yes, they want to know exactly how the money is coming in and how it is going out and how it's broken down by department. If you have multiple, you know, products, they're going to want to see the expenses for each of those. They're going to want to see something called, you'll see COGS, right? Consumer goods and services in some of these financial projections that talk about, okay, well, this is how much to build the product, this is how much shipping, this is about handling and all of that. And then after you deduct all of those expenses, this is the net, right? This is the actual amount you're making on the product. So you have to be really granular depending upon your industry. Depending on the industry, you will depend on how you kind of do these projections. But at the very least, you have to show them, you know, what your product is, how you're doing, what your business model is, right? What are the expenses? What is the net gain? And also, you know, factoring all those expenses like legal, right? You know, your dev team, like, you want to show them a healthy picture of growth and also your expenses. You're always going to have liabilities, but if you don't account for that, say, for example, you say, okay, my liabilities for this year, my expenses are 50,000, but at the end of the year, it's 250,000. They don't like that, right? Because now they're saying, okay, I expected a certain return, and now, you know, it's much less. And so, you know, if you just sit down and you tell yourself, okay, what is everything I'm trying to build? What's everything I'm going to do? What's all of the expenses I need? If you can do that and you can share that story with your investors, they're going to walk away with such a confidence that you know your numbers. I don't know if anyone's ever watched Shark Tank, but I'm a big Shark Tank fan. Have you ever seen the Shark Tank and the ladies, they're asking, maybe it's that Mr. Wonderful with the bald head, and he's asking the I don't really like him, but they're asking them the tough questions and the numbers, and you have that one founder that's like, oh, I don't know that. And they don't even invest in the company, right? Had a great presentation. They come out with like some of these people come out with the craziest things to get their attention, and then they walk away with their tail between their legs just because they couldn't explain their numbers. And you're thinking, wow, we've really got to feel like, beyond owning our story, owning the product, being excited about what we're building, you've got to show on paper how you make money for your investors. That, if I could say, that's the top thing. You could even have an ugly deck. Well, actually, I don't recommend an ugly deck, but if you have your numbers right, it's much more beneficial than a beautiful deck and you don't have good numbers that make sense for your investors. But another thing that's really important is the traction, right? We need to understand where we're at to where we're going. Maybe you already have users. Maybe you've beta tested. Maybe you have people who are in your pre-sign-up phase for your product that's coming to launch. Those are things that investors want to see. Oh, they've talked with 20 beta testers, right? Oh, they have a wait list of 5,000 people. That shows them, okay, their product is not only positioned for the market, but they have consumer demand. So we need that consumer demand to show them, okay, this is an investment ready business. And then another thing is also showing them a growth strategy. So a growth strategy is how do you make money, but what is the plan for that? So are you going to use advertisement? A lot of people use paid sponsored ads, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. There's a company I work with called 50.io. Everyone write that down, 50.io. You will love them. It's the word 50, FIFTY.io. They're just so fabulous. And I'm actually going to brag about them today because they do things that I think it just takes that friction really down when you think about advertising, because some people are like amazing at product design. They've got teams, they've got the idea, they know their market, they know their numbers, but they can't sell the darn thing. They can't sell it because they don't know marketing, right? And so if you don't know marketing, if you don't have a marketing team on hand, if that's something that's you totally out of left field for you, you need that growth strategy. You need those other tools in your toolkit to make sure you can get your product to market, to the consumer. And whether you're direct to consumer, whether you're B2B, whether you're, you work on a platform, or whether it's an actual physical product, you still have to get it to the consumer. So 50.io is a great company. They're able to find your customer and strategically target your customer, whether on social media or on the web. So they use something also called advert ads. So have you ever gone to like Amazon and you look at that shirt, you wanted that shirt, you forget it in your cart, but then you see that shirt on some other website you will go to later on in that day. You're like, wait, when did I see that shirt? Oh, I saw it on Amazon, but it followed you to another website. Have you seen those things? Those are called advert ads, and they're very annoying, but there's a certain rate of click, right? A certain click rate that people will click and they'll find your product. So there's little things like that beyond just, oh, I'm going to run social media ads. There's really granular things that are out there to get your product to where the customers are and where they're living. And that is so important to your overall growth. I'll talk about three more things really quick, and then we can maybe open it up for questions. The other thing that I really am bullish on, and that I get so excited when I talk to people about, is your total addressable market. And this is fundamentally a slide in the deck that I think some people they kind of gloss over, because they're kind of like, well, we just want to talk about the numbers and we want to show them the business plan. But your your investors want to know how big the market size is for your product. Because even if you have a great product, if your market is not undergoing growth at the current moment, if it's not an emerging market that is going to be healthy size of growth over time, you can have the best product in the world. You could be an MIT graduate, and they're not going to invest most likely if the segment of the market you are going into is going down, if it's decreasing, if it's protracting. So I really say understanding your market is going to be so critical. They have something called TAM, like your total addressable market, is how big the market is globally. So when you think of NFTs, blockchain, like what does that look like globally? Like if we looked at coin market cap right now, we had a big dip. We had a big dip in crypto. If you look at BTC, it was like 22,000 yesterday, and it went down to 20, and just last week it was like 27. So we've just had a big reduction in the total addressable market of crypto. But then if you go to obtainable market, which is the other aspect that investors are going to want to see, obtainable market, they're going to want to know, okay, well, what's the current market that you're going after? You're going to say, hey, crypto is almost $1 trillion business worldwide, but I'm only going after let's just say, for example, there's only 300 billion in US market. I'm going to go after the 300 billion in the US market, right? Because you can't go after every market. You can't go after every country that your product could be used in. So you go after, say, I'm going after US market, I'm going after the UK market, or I'm going after the APAC market, which is a lot of the Asian territories. You say, I'm going to go after this territory, and I'm going to get the serviceable addressable market, which is I'm going to go after 10% of that market. So if it's 200 million, I'm going after 20 million customers. So they want to see you can take it from the macro, the global size, to the micro, the exact targeted market that you are going to get as a goal, right? So you're not going to get 20 million. If your whole size of your market in the US is 20 million, it's not practical to tell the investor you're going to try to get 20 million, because that's the whole market. You're only going to get a piece of that market. So 10%, 5%, you have to be very practical. And then you have to build your assumptions, your business model around those numbers, right? How are you going to hit 20 million? Well, this year we're going to hit 1 million users. In 5 years, we're going to hit that 20 million, right? You start breaking it down. And another thing is just really making sure you understand who your competition is. You're not the only one doing what you're doing. It's very rare that you're the only one doing what you're doing. There's probably someone doing something similar in your market. So you really want to understand your competition. Why are you different? And they like to see a compare and contrast, like, your company with all of your features, and other companies and all of their features. And if you have more features than the other companies, that's better, right? If you only do one thing better and they do 5 things better than you really need to see, well, how are you being competitive? How are you having a healthy competitive analysis? Because they're going to want to see that you bring something different to the table than your competitors. And beyond your team, because you do need to put your team on there. I've actually seen some things where I'm like, where's the team? You need to show you who's on your team. Don't forget to highlight your team members on your deck. And also when you're speaking with your investors, you have to ask. You have to, in your deck and in your presentation, know exactly how much money you want to ask for these investors. You can't come in and say, well, we really, beautiful deck, beautiful presentation. They say, well, so what's the number? What's the ask? And if you hesitate, they don't think you know what you need from them. And if you don't know what you need from them, they're not really going to think you know what to do with the money if they give it to you. So if you're saying I need $5 million. Now, most people raise, even in pre-seed, about 10,000, right? When you're in your seed phrase, a pre-seed phase, excuse me, you're not raising like millions of dollars, right? If you get to your seed phrase, you may be raising a few $100,000. Once you get to your Series A, you're raising millions of dollars. In Series B and C, you're starting to raise multi-million-dollar rounds. It depends. Some people raise multi-million in their seed round or in their Series A, but you really want to stay practical. So if you're still building your MVP, you're still in beta testing, you don't have users yet, but you have a great product, right? Be really practical with your need, what you need to actually build your product, and also where you're at in terms of the stage of development. So if you're in that early stage, you probably don't want to ask for 50 million, right? So even if you need 50 million, they're probably going to say, wait, let's make sure you validate that first with maybe 200,000 or something like that. So you have to be really practical. If you've seen I go back to Shark Tank because I just love that show. I can binge watch it. It's really bad. Have you seen the people that come in and they ask for like $10 million for 0.5% equity, and they all just laugh. They just laugh because they understand numbers, and they understand, well, it's going to take me 50 years to get my money back at 0.5%. So not only when you're talking about the amount you need to raise, you need to talk about then how you're positioning that equity. There's different ways to structure debt or structure equity and financing, direct lines of credit, right? You'll hear something called post-money safe, pre-money safe. There's different ways they're going to want to structure it. And I can tell you, as a person who is coming in as a startup myself, you need to know what those options are. You need to sit down with your team and really look at how do generally venture capitalists structure financing, right? What are my options? And you need to go through the pros and cons of each, because some people are happy taking a post-money safe. Some are happy with pre-money safe. Some need that direct line of credit. They're a little bit more liquid. They've got customers. They can draw down on a line of credit and make sure they can pay back the investors at X% of interest, right? Some people, it would be horrible to take a direct line of credit without customers. Like, you might go out of business. So you really need to then understand the terms. Understanding the terms is that negotiation. So once you've done all the work, you've got the pitch deck, you've got the one pager, you've sold the story, you've talked to the investors, you've taken out your pom-poms. Now it's time to negotiate. And you've got to have that negotiation hat on very strong. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to own your position as a founder, to say, hey, I'm asking for that $1 million with confidence, and this is why, and these are the terms I want. And they're going to tell you, okay, well, we like these terms. You've got to know how to play that game. And so when I think about investor ready, I think about a lot of these components that really is about a piece of the pie. How does it come together as a whole? We really don't want to have that fragmentation when we're selling our story, especially as women. We've got to come in there swinging. I heard, so interesting, I heard Sam Bankman-Fried, when he was getting those billions of dollars to build FTX. Do you know those investors? He didn't sit down with a pitch deck. Do you know they talked to him while he was playing a video game? They talked to him while he was playing a video game. I wonder how much of us women are going to get to play a video game while our investors talk to us. I mean, that's just makes me mad. We have to do so much, get it all nice, beautiful, like a Smithsonian museum. We have to curate. We have to curate our materials. But we have people in blockchain right now who can sit down and play a video game and get billions of dollars. So when you think about the expectation that's on us versus others, it's shameful, actually. But we've got to just know that that's the how would you say, that's the universe we're playing in right now. And then until more of us become the billionaires, then we'll get to Shelle, when we're billionaires. Sumya, come on, yes, Joanne, when we have our millions, then we could set our own expectations. But until then, we have to play the game, which is, I always say, give me 5 years, Elon Musk, give me 5 years, coming for you. But I think we have to be very conscious that, right, the bar is set very high for us, maybe not for others, obviously, but for us. So I just want to be so empowering for women that when they come in, they say, I want to get venture capital. I try to sit them down very honestly. I try not to scare them, because sometimes you start talking about these things and they just kind of fold their hands and like, well, I can't do it. And I'm like, well, yes, you can, but you're going to have to start building, right? Don't just think in 1 week you're going to be investor ready. Give yourself a few months. Give your team, as you're building your product, you're working on these decks, you're working on, your delivery, you're fine tuning everything. So when you present it, it's a full package. And so I'm just really so bullish on women in Web3, in tech, to be able to do this, to be able to share their story, to get venture capital, and to stand in those rooms. I don't care if they're all men, and say, you're investing in this intellectual property that has a return on your investment, and to look at them and show them exactly why their dollars belong to you. I believe we all can do that. I believe we all deserve that. I believe it's our time. There's such a shift coming economically, as there's this economic downturn. There's some of the best products and services are made in the bear market. Some of the best businesses are built in these economic downturns. And we don't want to, I never want to capitalize on the hardships that are happening in the world. But there's opportunities even in hardships to say, okay, yes, there's high inflation. Yes, there's economic uncertainty. Yes, there's almost World War III. Let's just be honest. But there is still opportunities to grow and to be able to be investor ready. And wherever we're at in that spectrum, we can do it. As women, we can do it. As people, we can do it. And we just need to know the steps. It's formula, right? It's just formula. It's a science. When you're building your business, it's a science. It's not shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's precision. And these companies in the United States, especially, who are Fortune 500 companies, they use lean startups. They know how to literally find their customer and deliver their product direct to that consumer. They know them inside and out, where they are, where they live, demographic, education, and they position their product like, it's like a stalker, actually, they stalk their clients, but they know them inside and out. And you have to have that grit. Like, I'm going to find the answers, right? You don't have all the answers. We never have all the answers, but you find enough of the answers to be able to create a product that's going to last longer than one bull run. I'm so sad to see people not lasting longer than one bull run cycle. That's not a business. That's hype, right? We're not in the business of hype. We're in the business of creating legacy, enterprises. I want my children and their children to live off of the wealth that I create, because, you see those stories of, this generation and they took over this business. That's the legacy we can leave, not only in technology, but in business. We can create the best products and services the world has seen. Women, we're so empathetic. We have that sixth sense. We can create products that the world has never seen, just because innately we're so creative. We see things from a very user-friendly perspective. And I'm just so thankful for you ladies here showing us, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And it is going to happen because we're here, we're showing up, we're doing the work, and we're creating the environment for success. I just love SheFanPro because of the utility. You can come there and say, hey, I want to get in business. Well, hey, we got legal. Hey, we got devs. Hey, we got everything. Just go to Shelle, right? Just go to Shelle. You got everything. And so that just gives me so much hope that if we can show women, hey, you don't have to have it all, you're going to have a network, a team to help you get there. But take this first step, do that self-inventory on who you are, because you have to know thyself. Please don't walk in blindly into startups. It's hard. It's a grind. You meet ugly, nasty people. You can meet beautiful, wonderful people, but there's nasty people out there. And if you don't have that emotional resilience, that emotional intelligence, it's not that people don't have great products, but they don't have the capacity to grow through the growing pains of startup life. And there's a lot of growing pains. So I always say, take that inventory of yourself and then really understand what it means to be investor ready. What are the things you're going to have to do to prepare when you're in those business meetings to sell your story and to gain the trust of those investors? And that comes with a very strong executive summary. It comes with a very strong deck that shows a roadmap from A to Z of how you're securing their money, or as we say in Web3, securing the bag, how you secure the bag. And then it comes with the ability to negotiate. You have to understand what you're asking for in terms of the financial investment and what those terms are. And you want to make sure they're favorable, right? Because if you come in asking for $100,000 for 10% and you leave with $100,000 with only 10% left of your company, you have to be either okay with that or understand, hey, I have to negotiate this down because I'm worth more than 10% of my company. I didn't come in to lose a stakehold in my own company. Now I'm an employee in my company. So, never sell yourself short, never tell yourself no, but understand when we're talking about business, we're talking about venture capital, it's very precision based, and be prepared to be a precisionist and understand you can do it one step at a time. Even if it takes you, I don't care if it takes you 3 months to do the deck, do it one step at a time. So when you get in those meetings, you can be the very few percent of the people, the less than 2% of the people that get venture capital, because you are worth it and you can do it. So I think I spoke for way longer than I thought I was going to speak. So I apologize. Any questions you have for me, I would love to answer them and be mindful of the time.
Oh, thank you so much. That was absolutely outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Practical, and so we need this, don't we? Women need this, we the steps, the formula, like you said, the the insights, that it can be treacherous, but then it can be, very, very rewarding. And and I found, from listening to their, quite motivated. I found it quite encouraging. I found it, reassuring, because the steps that you outlined there were very sort of practical, formula, very understandable, just absolutely amazing. I mean, before I move on and see if anybody else has any questions, I was going to ask you to share with anybody if they want to get in touch with you and learn more about this or get some advice or whatever else like that. I mean, I know where to find you. I've got you on speed dial, but where does anybody else find you?
Yes, and you should see us. You should see our WhatsApp. It's mountains. I just love Shelle. But yes, if you want to find me, please visit us at Ethose, ETHOSE. We have the E at the end, .xyz. You can get in touch with us there. If you're also looking at coming onto our platform, we're looking for funding. There's a getting in contact button there that you can get in contact with me. You can also email me at info@ethose.xyz. And I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to make sure you feel supported. We really feel, I do a lot of things just because I want people to win. So I never want anyone to feel like, oh, how much does it talk to Dr. Merrick? A lot of, send me an email. We'll hop on a Zoom. We'll make sure you feel, supported in this journey, because there's nothing more satisfying than seeing someone be successful, and I really feel that we have to just give more than we're taking. So, never feel like you can't reach out, just get in touch. I'll even send you the pitch deck flow for free, just so that you can have it, so you can do it. And you can say, oh, I have all the steps in one bite-sized PDF. You know, those are the kind of materials that I know people pay a lot for, but I say, hey, that's access. And if I can give you access and make you feel like, wow, you know, it's not so, you know, got to go to this $1,000, you know, workshop to get the material. I could start now. You know, we want to provide that with Ethose.
I love that. That's really generous and absolutely, you know, love that. And obviously, you know, if you've got any links that you want to share with us or whatever, you know, you can send them over afterwards, and we'll add that in the comment section for our viewers to look back on, and to be able to access that resource. Sumia, Joanne, do you have any questions or any comments for Dr. Jamilah?
Hi, yeah. I just want to say thank you for being here. Your contribution has been immensely invaluable.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It's so
Yeah.
exciting to be here with you.
We are honored, honestly, that we've had the opportunity to learn from all these insights. It's been just absolutely great.
Beautiful. Well, I can tell you, you know, working with you, with EWC, you know, you bring so much to the table. So I think we all should just acknowledge the amazing queens here in the building, because there's, you know, what even us four all together can do. It just really is mind blowing. So, you know, I'm so excited to see, even as friends, as business partners, where we end up in the next few years.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite amazing. It's just amazing. So thank you so much, Joanne, and everyone today. It makes me feel highly motivated that, you know, there's so many wonderful people building, and we're building for a future that we get to participate in. So that's, you know, makes me excited, makes me really excited.
Sumia, go ahead.
Yes. So first of all, I would really like to thank Dr. Jamilah Merrick because she gave us such a motivating and inspiring lecture. I think it's one of the best motivation speeches in a business domain I've ever heard till today. And it's like I felt as if I was sitting in an entrepreneurship class. I got a crux of the entire entrepreneurship, everything, in just a span of 1 hour. And that's something which is great. And not only that, you started telling us how women can be empowered. And that is something which is really great. So what a wonderful lecture it is. So I should be really thankful to you for that. And not only that, like there are a few points that you've said, that is women, whether they are technical or in non-technical field or non-technical founders, what they need first is the leadership skills, and they need to know how to manage the teams, how to be agile, and that is absolutely what we exactly need and what we need to do. And you also told us about the SWOT analysis, how we should do. You also explained it with examples and the scenario. So, and that too in the field of blockchain, maybe you have management skills, but not technical skills, how to do the analysis. You tolling. And you also told us how we need to have that executive summary with the vision, mission, the right posture, everything. And we need to have how the perfect pitch deck. And thank you for saying that that the product should be beneficial and it should be able to solve a problem. Otherwise, you cannot make a great impact. And also we need to, and you also told that statement, right? It was like a shock when I heard that statement. You said some investor, he said, we don't invest in services. And then I can understand, I can feel when an investor rejects how you're going to feel. So I can understand it's something which is really striking. But after seeing you, what I feel is you must have met millions of such investors. You've learned your lessons, and today you're able to motivate us. So that's a truly inspiration, and hope we will be able to pitch deck like you with our investors in our future. And the best thing is you told about the progression map, like the roadmap, the milestones, timelines we need. And it suddenly reminded me of Steve Jobs. Because Steve Jobs, the way he marketed Apple, you know that, right? Even now we do not know the other co-founder, but then we really resonate with Steve Jobs. Apple means Steve Jobs. So that's the impact of the marketing, the strategy, and knowing and selling your product. And he's an exceptional person in that field. So when you're saying that, I thought, yes, Dr. Jamilah Merrick, maybe she's something, she's reminding me of Steve Jobs. Then you also told me about Elon Musk. And then I thought, yes, this is what we really need. So I was wondering, maybe even if somewhere I lack technical skills, but once you have this marketing skills, once you know how to run your business, you have the entrepreneurship skills, then yes, you can definitely be a very good founder and build your business in a magnanimous way. So thank you a lot, and thank you for inspiring that opportunities are there even when there is a downfall. We can always see. So thank you for that. And I think that right now we will try to search the opportunities, even when everybody is saying no, there is no opportunity everywhere, and we'll strategize and plan. And thank you a lot. I think everybody who's listening to her lecture might have got a goosebumps and a lot of lessons from whatever she said. So yes, thank you for such an energetic, inspiring, and something which is really worth for us to know.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you, Sumia, and for that summary there, and just absolutely, amazing. The energy. I just love how it was, how you delivered that, and explained that, in simple step by step, easily, easy to understand, and such valuable insights. I mean, just blown away, and I mean, I always love, to be in your company, but today was just so wonderful. And I know, everybody watching back on this recording, I know you're going to get such value from that, and that it's very satisfying that we've been able to, facilitate this conversation today, that you're going to actually get some real satisfaction and something really, meaningful and tangible, as a learning part of your learning journey and everything else in your development, so that's really satisfying. It's just fabulous. Joanne, you've unmuted. Have you got some closing words? Oh, there we go. So I'm not sure if John wants to open the mic up or not, but just suffice to say, Dr. Jamilah Merrick, thank you for joining us here at SheFab today. Just, an honor and a privilege. And I just hope that you'll come back, somewhere, in the future, and please, share more valuable insights. Let us know how you're doing, share some of your journey, because I know, and I'm certain that our audience members will have loved being in your company just as much as we have today. So thank you so very much. And I wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to the future. Like you said, we're all queens here. Joanne does some amazing work as a COO and joint vice president of SheFab, and Sumia as well as a CMO and general secretary for SheFab. Between us we all do some, and you as well, Dr. Jamilah, an ambassador for SheFanPro as well. I mean, the list, we're all co-founders of EWC, Empowered Women Collective. It's just that the list just goes on, and when you can do something together, you know, it's so much better than doing something alone, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, well, no, 100%. I'm so honored that when Sumya reached out to me, I was thinking it was something for EWC, and she said, "Oh no, can you be? Do you want us to interview?" I was like, "Oh, of course." I'm just such a fan of what you all bring to the table. And again, thank you so much for not only this opportunity, but for the friendship. You've been such an amazing woman. We've had so many great conversations. You make me believe that us women, we can work together, we can dream together, we can uplift each other, not feel intimidated in any way, because we all know we all have that value that we know we bring to the table. So, you know, Shelle, you provide so much value for women in tech, women in business, women in general, women empowerment, and we're just so thankful for you. And for Joanne and Sumya, I'm so your presence here and all that you bring to the table, and our wonderful friendship. I know we'll continue to develop. Sumya, you're a reductionist. You can take a big idea and you can bring it down to the nucleus. So, you know, you have something very special as well, Sumya, in terms of leadership, of vision, you know, of organizational structure, project management. I know you're going to do so many great things. So I can't wait to be interviewing you one day soon.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Thank you. It's my honor.
Yeah. So, you know, watch out, because she's coming. So
Yeah.
just thank you all so much for today. It was so much fun. And I think I didn't mean to ramble as much. I looked back up and I said, oh, it's 15 minutes past. So if you have any more questions for me, please, you know, I'm more than happy to answer them also offline. And then I'll send that pitch deck flow. I don't know if you have it, but I'll send it for your community so you can always have it to give
Thank
to
you. Yeah.
anyone you need, so they have that template.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. Thank you. That would be really, really helpful. So I just love you. What can I say, Dr. Jamilah Merrick? I absolutely just love you. And you know, as soon as I get to travel over and come and visit you, I'm going to give you the biggest hug
I know.
possible.
I can't wait
I
for
can't
that.
wait. I think I'll just burst with excitement. I'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
we're gonna that meme. I think I sent you that meme where it said best friends forever and the girls were bobbing their heads back and forth in the convertible
Yes,
car.
yes,
That's gonna be
yeah.
us in California if it stops raining. We're gonna take that convertible. We're gonna go rent a convertible, top down. We're gonna go cruise around by the beach, and just Shelle and I bobbing and weaving. We'll find some good music.
We will. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Right. Well, I think that summarizes everything and concludes everything for today at SheFab. Thank you so much to Dr. Jamilah Merrick, our fabulous guest speaker today. Thank you to Joanne and Sumya. Thank you to everybody that's watching back on this recording. Without you, we'd be very lonely. So thank you for taking time out to watch back. And obviously, you're aware of all the available resources and how to tap into those. And without further ado, I'd just like to say, we'll look forward to seeing you again next time. Dr. Jamilah Merrick, we'll look forward to seeing you again as our guest speaker. And yeah, may the great success in the journey may it continue, and may all of you be blessed.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, ladies.
Thank you. Take care. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye-bye.